sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex.
All right.
Let's talk about sex.
A little bit.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
All through the night I'll make love to you like you want me to.
And I guess that's just the woman in you that brings out the man in me. I know I can't help myself. You're all in the world to me. It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time. It feels like the first.
Today we're going to be talking about sexual initiation in heteromonogamous relationships. Sex is a fascinating topic that presents a complex aspect of our lives. Some of these aspects include our sexual scripts, communication with our partners, the timing of sex in a relationship, and our motivations and expectations. Of course, sex is also a very personal aspect of life, so naturally, everyone has different perceptions and opinions, which can make research difficult. We'll start by outlining an operational definition of virginity.
Virginity continues to be understood by young people in terms of heterosexual intercourse. There are many beliefs of what activities constitute the loss of virginity, but technically virginity is only lost with vaginal or anal intercourse despite other sexual acts. Sexual acts, with the exception of intercourse, are commonplace among those who place significance on their technical virginity and those who wish to avoid possible dangerous consequences, for example, unwanted pregnancy and or sexually transmitted diseases. One of the popular alternative beliefs, according to Acker, Angedi, and Regner's in 2007 study, is that the avoidance of vaginal activities allows people to remain pure.
Like on stage, a social script provides direction and meaning in social interactions. A sexual script offers direction in sexual activities, reducing the uncertainty and awkwardness one individual might feel. But what is the traditional sexual script for guys and girls? In 2005, Wiederman found that scripts for the two genders are overlapping and often complementary. The man's script balances between initiating sexual interactions and convincing the woman that sex isn't his only reason for being in the relationship. Because women tend to wait for intercourse until they are comfortable in the relationship, the man needs to persuade the woman that she is desirable enough for him to consider an ongoing emotional relationship with her. Once sexual activities begin, no matter who initiated, the man is traditionally expected to guide or lead his partner. Wiederman's 2005 study found that a male will lead sexual activities because his perception of himself as a desirable sexual partner is traditionally tied to his skill as a lover.
Despite traditionally being considered submissive in the boudoir, Wetterman found that the female script is anything but passive. It's important for her actions to be seen as attractive and seductive. Often she is expected to be the one to set the mood, whether it be by the use of candles or lingerie. Traditionally, being a successful sex object with her partner is tied to success as a woman, reinforcing the traditional belief that a woman's main role involves pleasing her partner. But the pressure to be desirable is countered with the pressure to not appear promiscuous. Wetterman explains that a woman needs to show enough interest in sexual activity to convince the man she is worth being with, not so much that she seems to engage in intercourse indiscriminately. When followed accordingly, these scripts complement and enhance each other. The male's strong interest in the female reinforces her desirability as a woman, and the female's combination of resistance and interest not only reinforces the male's desirability, but also makes intercourse more rewarding for him. According to Wittman's study, females' restrictions present an opportunity for the traditionally masculine traits of competitiveness to enter into their relationship.
Morgan and Zurbriggen's 2007 study found that certain aspects of these scripts are so ingrained in people's sexual schemas that pressure is expected from their partner, and there is a low standard of how much and what kind of pressure is acceptable. The female participants believe that their male partner's frequent expressions of sexual desire are a result of being male, as if sexuality is the driving force of masculinity, but not a large factor of femininity. Although these scripts may seem out of date, they are still important to have. Scripts are helpful to reduce anxiety in the face of the unknown when in a new situation with a new partner. Without knowing each other's sexual nuances, it can be a difficult task to navigate through what your partner wants and what you want. Sexual situations also leave people vulnerable, physically and emotionally. Scripts are used to reduce the risk of being rejected, ridiculed, or otherwise hurt by guiding us through a new experience. Wiederman's 2005 study found that non-traditional sexual tendencies decrease predictability and increase anxiety. For instance, if a woman is more sexually assertive, the man may feel as if his masculinity is threatened and his value is reduced. If a man is more sexually passive, the woman may feel uncomfortable with initiating and guiding the experience. When a couple's script doesn't match each other's, romance and spontaneity is drastically reduced, thus reducing satisfaction as well. As a relationship grows, the couple can alter their traditional script to match their own preferences, but the script is still an important aspect to have at the beginning of the relationship to help trust and comfort grow between the individuals. Although sexual scripts are important, the traditional scripts are not ideal for everyone. Morgan and Zurbriggen's 2007 study found that the traditional scripts lead too easily into sexual coercion. Seeing as initial hesitation and pressure is expected, some individuals may be prone to ignoring the barriers set in place by their partner and will continue to increase the amount of pressure until their partners consent. It was also found that women often consented to sex to please their partners and not for their own sexual desires. In fact, because the female's script is focused more on restricting their male partner than on expressing her own desires, the script leaves little room for women to explore and nurture her own sexual desire.
But how does watching a movie on the couch transition into intercourse? Well, there are two dichotomous aspects that can be used in conjunction with each other: direct versus indirect, and verbal versus nonverbal. A direct verbal strategy used by women more often than by men. They are more confident they won't be turned down, so they don't worry about saving face. An indirect verbal strategy is more common than a direct verbal one for both men and women. Although labeled indirect, the verbal aspect of this strategy still makes it rather clear on the intention of the initiator. An indirect nonverbal strategy, on the other hand, leaves room for misinterpretation but is used 66% of the time, according to Vanier and O'Sullivan in 2011 study, which also revealed that men are 17% more likely than women to use this strategy. This strategy also allows for learning and modifying sexual scripts. In Morgan and Zurbriggen's study 2007, male participants explained that they learned what not to do by their partner's negative reaction to their attempts. Finally, a direct nonverbal strategy involves diving in headfirst. An example of this is stroking your partner's crotch to begin sexual stimulation or stripping for your partner's sexual entertainment. This strategy offers zero space to save face if rejected, and is therefore used mostly by women who are confident their efforts will not go unappreciated.
Few couples use the same initiation strategies for every one of their sexual experiences. So how do the use of these strategies differ over time? As relationships lengthen, comfort with and knowledge with your partner increases, thus creating a more open dialogue between two individuals and increasing the use of verbal initiations, both direct and indirect. Humphreys and Newby found in their 2007 study that it is only direct nonverbal approaches that fall out of favor in longer relationships. This study also found that in relationships shorter than 6 months, direct nonverbal strategies are used to initiate something new more often than in relationships longer than 6 months. This finding is consistent with the differences in general initiation strategies for shorter and longer relationships. Although males and females are similar in a number of ways, there are differences in initiation and reactions between the two genders. Vanier and O'Sullivan found in 2011 that although men initiate sex more often, female initiation is still relatively common in established relationships, and mutual initiation is the least common scenario. Men use indirect nonverbal strategies while women use direct nonverbal strategies, unless it is a new sexual practice being initiated, in which case there are no gender differences in initiation strategy. The gender of the initiator and type of initiation has no effect on how enjoyable the experience is. Finally, the research also revealed that males and females are equally likely to consider initiating sexual activity. Vanier and O'Sullivan in 2011 found that the acceptance of these advances is usually the same style as the initiation, which means that the response style is not influenced by gender, but by the initiator.
Partners are considered people sharing the same ideas in some manner, whether it is about sex, relationship, or love. More than half of sexually active teens have had sexual partners outside of a relationship. The selection process for a sexual partner is based on sexual communication, through which the meanings, functions, and effects of sexual relations are negotiated. The 2006 study conducted by Manning and colleagues suggests that adolescents prefer to base their relationships with people they have coincided with at least once, such as friends, ex-girlfriends, boyfriends, rather than strangers. Furthermore, this study suggests that one-third of these adults hope to have a long-term relationship grow out of the non-dating sexual partnership. Sexual pressure can have an immense impact on the timings of intercourse. It is often the man that is exerting pressure on the woman to participate in sexual behavior. In keeping with these gender roles, men are typically more interested in sex at all stages of the relationship. A recent study found that the most common reason by far for which men chose not to participate in sexual intercourse with their partner was due to their religious beliefs, often with the intention of remaining abstinent until marriage. Men who do not want to wait may succumb to the societal pressures that cause them to feel that they should never refuse sex with their partner. Alternatively, similar pressure make women feel that they should never immediately accept sexual advances. Over time, women tend to submit a sexual pressure in relationships mainly out of fear that they will lose the interest of their partner, especially women who are dating older men.
From the biological perspective, studies show that the release of oxytocin by the body during sexual stimulation acts to improve mood and increase the likelihood of further sexual activity. This is often what encourages the progression from foreplay to intercourse. According to data collected by Hayden and colleagues at the University of North Carolina, the loss of virginity takes place at the average age of 16.3 years of age and signifies a transition into adulthood for many. Environmental stimuli impact sexual behavior and identity as greatly as all other aspects of the self. Certain environmental indicators, such as poor academic performance and a high rate of delinquency, have shown to accompany a tendency to participate in sexual behaviors at a relatively early age. Aspects of the familial environment, such as economic status and the quality of parent-adolescent relationships, were shown in several studies to have strong effects on the timing of these same behaviors, as well as the likelihood of contraception use. One such study by Manlove and colleagues in 2012 found that close bonds between mother and son, as well as between father and daughter, reduce the chances of the adolescents losing their virginities at a young age and in casual relationships.
Romantic love is a motivator related to feelings of affection and long-term attachment. Sexual desire is a motivator leading to the pursuit of opportunities for sexual activity. Individuals who are motivated to engage in sex to enhance mood are less likely to use condoms at the first intercourse with their new partners. Non-dating sexual partnerships are associated with hopes and/or expectations that the relationship will lead to more conventional dating relationships. Sex can act as a motivator, helping both males and females to connect with each other and initiate a relationship. Many animal studies have shown that increases in the level of oxytocin within individuals were positively correlated with the tendency towards monogamous behaviors with their current mating partners. In fact, a study conducted by Gillett and colleagues in 2008 suggests that the sexual system is designed with phases to enable reproduction. From an evolutionary perspective, the oxytocin release motivates sex to increase the likelihood of fertilization through multiple sexual experiences with the committed partner. Lastly, oxytocin motivates maintaining the relationship for the offspring, survival, and successful development. Sexual activities motivates individuals to become closer to their partner and involve behaviors that promote and maintain relationships.
It has been hypothesized that with increasing exposure to inaccurate or embellished sexual ideals in the media, our expectations of the first sexual experience may be higher than would otherwise occur. Regardless, in a 2012 study by Smith and Schaefer, both men and women reported that during their first intercourse, the male appeared to be more sexually satisfied than the female. This is likely because of the fact that men are far more likely than women to have achieved an orgasm during their first experience with intercourse. The same study indicated that the perceived quality of the first sexual experience has been shown to influence lasting sexual satisfaction. People who feel that their first time was a positive experience tend to have higher self-esteem and are less likely to experience sexual depression. This long-term effect may be due to the adoption of sexual schemas, which are influenced by the quality of all previous sexual experiences. Negative sexual schemas are associated with a high level of tension, anxiety, anger, and even hostility in sexually arousing situations.
The issue with most studies of this kind is the need for self-reporting. Participants may have altered or false memories, while others may be able to recall their initial perceptions more readily. Environment and emotional states may cause some participants to embellish or downplay their first experience with sex. Although personal differences play a large role in sexual initiation, interactions with our partner have an equally large effect. Because of this, traditional roles and expectations of scripts, communication, and motivation are heavily relied on early in a relationship to reduce anxiety of the unknown. As relationships develop, we are more comfortable to deviate from the traditional scripts and create our own with our partner, encouraging a more unique and pleasurable experience for both.